Surprised my wife during her secret getaway with her lover, showed up unannounced, caught them red-handed, and handed her the divorce papers right there on the spot. Hey everyone, I want to share something that's been eating me alive for a long time. It's a long, messy story, so bear with me. I've hit my limit, and I honestly don't know how to process any of this chaos anymore. A little background. I'm 43. My wife Sarah is 40. We've been married for 16 years and have two kids. Our daughter Emma is 14, and our son Noah is 9. I work as an engineer, and Sarah's a manager at a large marketing agency. We always looked like one of those stable, well-balanced families from the outside. Even friends used to say, "You guys are solid. You're an example." Maybe that's what hurts the most. We really did try. We were far from perfect, but we were committed. I honestly thought we had the kind of relationship that could survive anything. We'd been through hard times, financial stress, health scares, parenting chaos, but we kept showing up for each other. Or, I thought we were. Things began to shift about 3 years ago when Sarah got promoted. She started managing big clients and had to travel a lot. I was proud of her. She worked hard for that role, but along with the promotion came a new tone in her voice, one I hadn't heard before. I couldn't name it at first. Just this growing coldness, an edge that cut through every interaction. Then came the comparisons. She started bringing up her boss, Steve, in conversations. At first it was subtle. "Steve always says," or "Steve's so good at handling pressure." Then it turned personal. "Steve still plans surprise dates for his wife. Why don't you ever think of that?" I laughed it off in the beginning. Steve and I were actually close. He and his wife Elizabeth had been over to our house plenty of times. Their kids and ours played together. We did family barbecues, shared holidays. He was charming, smart, and seemed to have it all together. But over time, Sarah started looking at me like I was missing something, like I wasn't enough anymore. I tried to change. I bought relationship books, watched videos, tried planning more family time, more one-on-one time with her. But every effort was met with disinterest, or worse, irritation. She stopped responding to affection. Conversations became transactional. I kept thinking maybe she was just burnt out, that maybe I was missing something obvious. So I asked her directly, "What can I do better?" She said, "You shouldn't have to ask. You should just know." I started noticing strange things. Her phone was always with her. She laughed at messages she wouldn't show me. She said she was staying late for meetings but would come home at 2 a.m., claiming traffic or client calls. One night I woke up to the sound of her giggling in bed beside me. I leaned over to look at her screen, and she instantly turned it away. "Don't be nosy," she snapped and walked off to the bathroom. I lay there, heart racing, trying to convince myself I was overreacting. The next day I asked her if she was seeing someone. She exploded. "Seriously? You're paranoid," she said, and didn't speak to me for the rest of the night. I didn't have proof, but my gut knew. A friend of mine helped me retrieve some deleted data from her phone. Most of the conversations were gone, but the fragments that remained were enough. References to hotels, pet names, and one particular number that she always texted late at night. I cross-checked it. It was Steve's. I felt like the world stopped. Not just because my wife had betrayed me, but because I had trusted Steve. I had vented to him about our marriage, thinking he understood. He gave me advice. I looked up to him, and the entire time, he was sleeping with my wife. I didn't know who to tell. Friends? Too humiliating. Family? Too painful. And then I thought of Elizabeth, Steve's wife. I called her and said we needed to talk. We met at a quiet cafe. I showed her the messages, the phone logs. Her hands trembled, but her voice didn't shake. "Now everything makes sense," she said, and took out her phone. That was the beginning of everything. Two betrayed people, comparing timelines and piecing together a private hell we didn't know we were sharing. No flirting, no comfort hugs, just quiet solidarity and a mutual decision. We needed to act, not out of revenge, but out of dignity. And that decision is what led to everything that followed. Elizabeth and I started collecting pieces of the puzzle like two detectives in a crime we didn't know we were victims of. At first, I still had this irrational voice in my head whispering, "Maybe you're wrong. Maybe you misunderstood." But with every screenshot, every timestamp, every unexplained weekend away, that voice got quieter. Steve wasn't even careful. He didn't bother deleting everything. Maybe he thought he was untouchable, or maybe he didn't care anymore. Elizabeth was shockingly composed. She had this quiet strength about her, like she had already suspected, and was just waiting for confirmation. Meanwhile, I was unraveling. She didn't pity me, though, and that's exactly why I could talk to her. She became the one person I could be honest with. There was no pressure to be strong or pretend. We were both humiliated, and both desperate not to lose ourselves in it. As we compared stories, it became clear the affair had been going on for almost 2 years. Hotel bookings lined up with her conferences. Gaps in her calendar matched Steve's business trips. They weren't even subtle about it. Photos, messages, voice notes. I stopped reading after a while. It was like drinking poison. The more I saw, the sicker I felt. At home, Sarah was starting to change. Not in some sudden act of guilt. More like her instincts were kicking in. I wasn't reacting the way I used to. I wasn't asking questions. I wasn't trying to win her back. I was quiet, still, distant, and it threw her off. She began making more effort. Small things at first. Asking how my day was, leaving coffee on my desk, trying to make eye contact that I no longer wanted. I realized she sensed something slipping through her fingers. One night I came home late from talking with Elizabeth. The house was quiet. I walked into the kitchen and saw Emma sitting at the table, still in her hoodie, staring at a cold mug of tea. I asked softly, "Couldn't sleep?" She looked up at me with this calm, almost adult look in her eyes. "Dad, I know." I froze. "I heard things. I don't know everything, but I know it's not your fault. Just, please don't give up." That was the moment everything shifted. I had been fighting so hard to keep the pain buried, to shield the kids, to stay sane. But that night, hearing those words from my daughter, something snapped into place. I knew I had to finish this. I couldn't keep dragging myself and them through it. The point of no return wasn't something I chose. It had already been crossed. Elizabeth and I agreed on a plan. We found out where Steve and Sarah were going to spend their upcoming work weekend, a remote spa hotel they'd used before. Elizabeth tracked the booking through one of his shared credit cards. I met with a lawyer, got everything ready. So did she. We decided to serve the papers the same day. No drama, just a clean, hard ending. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't angry anymore. I felt focused, steady. This wasn't revenge. This was closure. I wanted Sarah to see that I knew everything. And I didn't need to yell or beg or shame her. I was done. Elizabeth messaged me first, said it was done. Steve was stunned, tried to talk his way out of it, said it didn't mean anything. Of course he did, and then it was my turn. I arrived at the hotel with the documents, waited calmly. When Sarah came downstairs wearing the spa robe and hotel slippers, her face changed the moment she saw me. Panic, confusion, denial. The court officer confirmed her name. She didn't deny it, just stood there, frozen. I handed her the envelope. She reached for it, hands trembling. She opened her mouth to say something, but I didn't wait. I walked out of the lobby without looking back. I thought I'd feel relief, that handing Sarah the divorce papers would lift something off my chest, that I'd finally breathe. But a week passed and nothing changed. I didn't feel better, just empty, silent, no rage, no peace. Like something inside shifted, and now everything was out of place. Sarah didn't move out. She acted calm, cooked meals, asked about my day, tried to act normal. Told me we could still fix this, that it's not what I think. I listened, didn't argue. I had no strength left. She talked about feelings, love, regrets. It all sounded hollow. I didn't believe her anymore. We still lived under one roof because of the kids. It was easier that way, but the house felt even quieter. No shouting, no real talking either. I worked, focused on the kids. She kept trying to be better, always cleaning, offering coffee, asking if I was okay. Before I might have appreciated it, now I just didn't care. Elizabeth texted sometimes, nothing emotional, just, "How you holding up?" "All right, you?" "Same." That was enough. We both knew not to lean too hard on each other. We were both barely holding it together. Adding something new would have made it worse. So we kept the distance. I respected that. One night I came home late. Everyone was asleep. I went to the kitchen for water and noticed Emma's light was still on. I walked in. She was sitting at her desk in a hoodie, holding a cup of tea. I asked, "Can't sleep?" She looked at me calmly and said, "I know." I didn't speak. I heard stuff. I don't understand all of it, but I know it's not your fault. Please don't give up. That hit harder than anything else. Quiet, simple, but sharp. I went to my room and realized there was no turning back. Even the kids felt it. And if I stayed now, I wouldn't just be lying to myself. I'd be lying to them. A few days later, Sarah stayed home. Said she took a day off to think. She made breakfast. Smiled. Told me she started therapy. Said she's reading the book I bought her years ago. She actually looked sincere. Not fake this time. But I didn't feel anything. Just listened and nodded. Later that day, she brought up sex. Not aggressively. Just said she missed being close. Missed the connection. Said it wasn't about physical stuff. It was about feeling safe, wanted. She said all the right things, but none of it felt real. Like someone reading a script to the wrong person. That evening, she came into the bedroom, wearing new lingerie, sat next to me and said, "I'm not playing games. I still love you." I said nothing. "I'll do anything. Just don't shut down." I looked at her and said quietly, "There's nothing left to fix." She cried. I didn't comfort her. I just got up and walked out. After that, it got even quieter. She stopped trying, just cooked, cleaned, wrote things in her notebook. I acted like I didn't notice. I had no energy left. I worked, spent time with the kids, took walks sometimes just to get out of the house and clear my head. That's when I really felt alone. Not because someone left me, but because there was nothing left inside me. No anger, no love, no hope, just empty space. The weirdest part, life didn't fall apart. It just kept going, like nothing had happened. I still got up in the morning, still made breakfast for the kids, still went to work. Sarah did too. We functioned like two strangers with a shared schedule. No fights, no screaming, just silence. Tense, awkward silence. Emma and Noah didn't ask questions, not directly, but they knew. Kids always know more than you think. Emma especially. She watched us closely. Every time Sarah tried to talk to me, Emma would leave the room. She didn't say anything, but her silence said enough. Sarah kept pushing. Therapy, apologies. She'd send me articles, notes, books, all about healing, about rebuilding trust, about second chances. Sometimes I read them. Most of the time, I just stared at the words and felt nothing. One day she brought me a printed list. Things I'll do differently, it said. There were 20 bullet points. From no more secrets to weekly couple check-ins. I thanked her. I didn't promise anything. I wasn't trying to punish her. I just didn't want to give false hope. At some point, she started acting nervous, paranoid. Every time I checked my phone, she watched me. Every time I left the house, she asked where I was going. She didn't say it out loud, but I knew what she was afraid of. That I'd sleep with someone out of revenge. She even asked me about Elizabeth. I told her we weren't doing anything, that we hadn't crossed that line. She nodded, but I saw the panic behind her eyes. She started initiating physical contact again. Small things. A hand on my shoulder, a hug that lingered too long. Once, she left a note in my jacket pocket. It said, "I still believe in us." I crumpled it and threw it away before I even got to work. She didn't stop. She kept trying to get close. She wore new perfume, lingerie, started leaving the bedroom door open again. I kept my distance. Not out of anger, just because I didn't want her. Not like that, not anymore. I caught myself wondering if I was being too harsh. Maybe I should give her a chance. Maybe people do change. But then I'd remember how long it went on, how calculated it all was, how she didn't stop until she got caught, and all those maybes disappeared. I had a long talk with my mom around that time. She didn't know all the details, just the basics. At first, she was on Sarah's side, said everyone makes mistakes, that I should think of the kids, that 16 years is a long time to throw away. But then I told her everything, every ugly part. After that, she changed her tone, said she was sorry, said I didn't deserve any of it. That helped. A little. One night I told Sarah we needed to stop therapy. She asked why. I said it was giving her false hope, that I didn't want to lead her on. She cried, said therapy was helping her, that she was changing, that maybe someday I could feel something again. I said nothing. A few days later, I told Elizabeth I needed space, that our check-ins were starting to feel too personal. She understood, said she was feeling the same. We agreed to pause all contact for now. No drama, just distance. Then Sarah did something I didn't expect. She offered a post-divorce agreement, something about splitting time with the kids, finances, everything. Fair terms, generous even. I didn't know what to say. It was the first time she truly looked like she was letting go. She still stayed in the house, still acted careful around me. But the desperation faded. She looked tired, like me, like she finally saw the cracks she couldn't glue back together. And honestly, that was the first time I felt something real again. Not hope, just peace. We agreed to act civil during the holidays, mainly for the kids. Emma asked if we could spend Christmas together, like before. I didn't want to be the reason everything collapsed all at once, so I said yes. Sarah looked relieved, even smiled. I didn't say anything. We put up the tree, had dinner, watched a movie. From the outside, everything probably looked fine. I even caught myself laughing a couple of times, but I knew it was fake, just muscle memory. I was counting down the days until it would be over. One last holiday under one roof, for the sake of appearance. After that, done. Sarah behaved herself. No pushing, no begging. She didn't bring up therapy or the relationship. She cooked, cleaned, helped the kids wrap presents. She looked like a model wife, just 2 years too late. I stayed polite. I didn't want to fight, but I could feel the tension every time she entered the room. She watched me constantly, watched how I spoke to the kids, watched when I left the house, watched how long I was gone. I spent New Year's Eve sitting on the porch alone. Emma had gone to sleep early. Noah passed out after dessert. Sarah stayed inside. She didn't try to come out. I think by then she finally realized nothing was changing. Midnight came. No text, no hug, just fireworks somewhere in the distance and me, sitting in the cold, not feeling anything. A few days later, I told her we needed to finalize the living situation. She offered to move out. said it made more sense for her to be the one to go. I didn't argue. She packed slowly, like she thought I might stop her at the last minute. I didn't. She cried a little when she told Emma and Noah, but kept it together. I appreciated that. After she left, the house felt different. Not empty, just quiet in a better way. For the first time in years, the air didn't feel heavy. The silence wasn't filled with tension. I could walk from one room to another without feeling watched. I could think without filtering everything through guilt. Emma seemed more relaxed, too. She didn't say anything, but I saw it. She laughed more, played with Noah, talked to me about school without sounding distracted. I think she was holding her breath for a long time, just like I was. Now she could exhale. Sarah still messaged small things about the kids, logistics. Sometimes she added a, "Hope you're okay." I never answered those, only responded when it was about Emma or Noah. She noticed. Eventually, she stopped trying to slip in anything personal. The tone became businesslike. That helped. One weekend, Elizabeth reached out again, just to check in. I didn't know what to say at first. I'd been keeping my distance like we agreed. But something about the way she worded it, calm, no pressure, made me respond. We talked for a bit. Not about Steve, not about the past. Just normal stuff. Work, parenting, what books her daughter was reading now. It felt easy. Then she said something that stuck with me. "You seem lighter." I hadn't thought about it, but maybe I was. Not happy, not healed, but less weighed down. I wasn't walking around with all that pain sitting in my chest every day. I told her, maybe I'm just tired of carrying it all. She replied, "You don't have to. We didn't make plans to meet, didn't hint at anything more." But I felt something shift, like maybe for the first time, the future wasn't just a blank wall. Sarah asked if we could meet for coffee one day, said she wanted to talk. I said no. I didn't want to open that door again. She sent a long message after that, said she accepted the divorce but still had hope. I didn't reply. It wasn't about punishment anymore. I just didn't owe her anything. The divorce was finalized on a Thursday. No drama, just signatures, a nod from the clerk, and it was over. 16 years on paper ended in less than 20 minutes. I walked out alone, got in the car, and just sat there. I didn't cry. I didn't feel much. Just quiet, almost stillness. That evening, I told Emma and Noah. I kept it simple. They already knew. Emma nodded. Noah looked unsure but didn't ask much. I told them we'd be all right, that both their parents still loved them, that they didn't have to choose sides. They listened quietly. That was enough. Sarah didn't message me that day, first time in months. Maybe she was waiting to see if I would reach out. I didn't. Things started to shift after that. Slowly, I was sleeping better, eating regularly. Music didn't sound empty anymore. Days went by without me thinking about the affair. Then a full week. I hadn't forgotten, but the weight wasn't crushing me constantly. Elizabeth and I started talking again. No pressure. We met for coffee once. Just two people who'd been through something brutal. We talked for 2 hours about work, parenting, life. It felt easy, human, nothing forced. I told her I wasn't ready for anything serious. She said she felt the same. That made things simple. We started meeting once a week, sometimes with the kids, sometimes without. It wasn't romantic. It was something steadier, like being able to breathe around someone. Emma noticed. One day she asked, "Are you dating Mrs. Elizabeth?" I said, "No. I just like being around her." She replied, "She's nice. She listens." That meant more than she knew. Sarah found out we were seeing each other. She didn't react right away. Then came the message. Long, emotional. She said she wasn't angry, just hurt. That she hoped we might reconnect eventually. That she had tried so hard to make things right. She ended with, "Guess this really is the end." I didn't answer. She called. I didn't pick up. Then came the voicemail. Her voice shook. She asked if I was doing this out of revenge. Said she still loved me. That she'd undo everything if she could. She cried. I listened once, then deleted it. I didn't hate her. I just couldn't trust her. And that wasn't going to change. Steve, meanwhile, was falling apart. Elizabeth told me he was still trying to win her back. Flowers, showing up at her office, guilt-tripping their kids, none of it worked. She was done. She once told me, "You can't cheat for 2 years and call it a mistake." I agreed. He called me too. Unknown number. Said he wanted to apologize. Admitted everything. Said he respected how I handled it. I let him talk for about a minute, then hung up. There was nothing to say. Emma and Noah were doing all right, better than expected. We kept their routine stable. I stayed present. Elizabeth helped when needed. Pickups, homework, just being there. Our kids got along well. Emma especially clicked with her daughter. They were close in age. It helped a lot. For the first time in years, life didn't feel like something to survive. It felt like something I could actually live. I decided I'd move out after Christmas. No point in dragging it out. Sarah wasn't pushing anymore. But I could tell. Some part of her still believed I'd come around. But I wasn't frozen. I was just done. We agreed to spend the holidays together. One last time for the kids. Emma said she wanted a final normal Christmas. I said okay. Not for Sarah. For them. I didn't want them to associate the holidays with everything falling apart. Sarah decorated the house, invited a few relatives. She stayed calm, didn't pressure me, but I saw it. The little attempts to create moments. A touch on my shoulder. A warm cup of coffee left quietly. A comment like, "Remember when we used to do this together?" I stayed neutral. The kids handled it better than I expected. They knew this was the end. Emma once said, "At least you two aren't fighting. That's something." One night after dinner, I drove to see Elizabeth. No kids, just needed to talk. We sat in her kitchen, drank tea, didn't overthink anything. She told me she was planning a quiet holiday at home. No big gathering. I realized how simple it felt with her. No tension, no games, just real. When I got back, the house was silent, everyone asleep. I stood in the living room looking at the tree. We'd had so many nights like this before, but now everything felt empty in a peaceful way, like silence that wasn't sad, just honest. The next day, Sarah seemed to sense it. She asked if I was planning to stay after the holidays. I told her the truth. Number, I'll move out after Christmas. She nodded, quiet, then left the room. We didn't speak about it again. Christmas came and went without problems. Dinner, gifts, a movie. The kids were happy. That's all I cared about. At one point, I caught Sarah watching us. There was something in her eyes. Not anger, not begging, just quiet grief. I didn't respond. Emma asked me if I was with Elizabeth. "We talk," I said. She nodded. "She's kind. Your eyes look different when you mention her." It caught me off guard, but she wasn't wrong. Things with Elizabeth were calm. She didn't expect anything. She never made me feel like I was on trial. She just showed up and let things be simple. Before New Year's, Sarah suggested we talk. Just the two of us. No kids. I said no. She didn't press. Just sent one more message. "If you ever want to talk, I'll be here." I didn't reply. It wasn't about bitterness. There was just nothing left to say. On the last day of the year, I packed a few boxes. Just the essentials. The kids already knew. We had everything planned. Visits, schedules, communication. No drama. I told them I wasn't leaving their lives. Just the house. That night, I welcomed the new year alone. No fireworks. No big resolutions. Just quiet. And for the first time in a long time, no fear. It's been 3 years. Doesn't sound like much. But looking back, it feels like a lifetime. The version of me that handed Sarah those divorce papers, he's gone. Not dead, just replaced. I'm still learning who I became. Life isn't perfect, but it's stable. Quiet in the best way. I have my own place. Elizabeth and I see each other often. We never forced anything. We let it grow naturally. At some point, it stopped feeling temporary. Now it just feels right. The kids adjusted, slowly, then all at once. At first, Emma kept some distance from Sarah. She was polite but cold. Noah didn't say much, but he followed Emma's lead. I didn't interfere. I let them feel what they needed to feel, but Sarah stayed consistent. She showed up, never missed a game, never forgot a birthday. She didn't try to win them back with gifts or guilt. She just kept being there. And over time, it worked. Not like before. Something broke and stayed broken. But the kids began letting her back in. One conversation at a time. One quiet moment at a time. Last summer, Emma said, "I don't hate her anymore." That was it. No explanation, no tears, just a quiet statement. I told her that was enough. Noah's younger. Things were easier with him. He didn't carry the same weight. He forgave faster. Now he talks to his mom regularly, laughs with her. He doesn't ask questions. He just loves. Elizabeth has been everything I never knew I needed. Solid, calm, no drama. The kids respect her. Emma confides in her. Noah calls her E. They've grown close, not because she tried, but because she didn't. She never forced a bond. She just showed up. Last Christmas, we celebrated together. My kids, her kids, Elizabeth and I. No awkwardness, just family, in whatever form it takes now. Sarah wasn't there. She spent the holiday with her sister out of town, but she called the kids, sent gifts. She didn't interrupt, didn't make it about her. I respected that. Steve is a different story. He lost everything. His wife, his kids' trust, his place in the home he used to own. He's with someone new now, a younger woman with a loud voice and expensive taste. Elizabeth told me once, she doesn't care about his past, only his money. I said nothing. His kids barely speak to him. They don't hide their resentment. He still thinks time will fix it, that people will forget. But time doesn't fix what you never took responsibility for. I saw him once by accident at a coffee shop. He looked smaller somehow, worn down. He saw me too. We didn't speak. I'm not angry anymore. Just done with all of it. Sometimes people ask if I'd ever go back and change things. If I could erase the pain, the betrayal, the years lost, and the answer is always no. Because without it, I'd never have what I have now. Not peace, not clarity, not Elizabeth. Not the version of me who finally learned how to choose himself and mean it.